Without further ado, if you see the thumbnail, as you may click on the internet and go through YouTube, the thumbnail is entitled "The Band of the Year." Today, we have in the studio our former teacher, mentor, friend, brother, however you want to call it, along with his right hand man, assistant director of bands, and we have the staff, part of the staff of the Band of the Year at Florida Memorial University. We welcome to the show Mr. Dr. Richard Beckford and B. Snell.
All right.
How y'all doing, brothers?
We're doing all right. We're going to do an applause. Right.
Yeah.
You got to put some applause on that one. Right.
It would take a long time to read off the accolades of both of these brothers, and a lot of people don't know a lot about their accolades, but that's okay. They don't stand on them. They just want to continue to produce because we all live by that. What Dr. Falter said a long time ago: you're only as good as the last performance. You're only as good as the last thing you did. So you got to always keep pushing till they put that dirt over that box, if you know what I mean. Right. Mr. B, let's start with the Band of the Year. How did we get here, man?
It's miraculous. Honestly, back in January 26, 2020, I got hired by the university president. That's a whole story.
Yeah.
Dr. Hardrick. But I remember that day, it just came out, man. I was like, one day we just know you just created the soon-to-be best band, #1 band in the nation. I just said it out loud. Those people that know me, it don't make sense to participate in anything if you ain't going for #1. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And you may never get there, but that got to be the goal. Excellence is the standard. Perfection is the goal. Yes, that's always been our mantra from y'all in the band.
That's right. That's right.
So it started there, and then a couple years later, we navigated through creating a brand new HBCU program, which was miraculous in itself during COVID, at the height of COVID, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And we started out with 48 students. And make a long story short, man, as we continue to sow that seed of one day we're going to be recognized amongst the best. We got a chance to go out there to Southern University. And we talked about, hey, just hold our own. Let's good quality music, sound good, music. Articulation, bring that heat. And don't worry about what Southern do. They do what they do.
They gonna do it.
They do what they do. And we held our own. Right. And we got a great applause, great response from their crowd, from their band staff, from their students. And it was a mutually respectful situation. They respected what we did and we respected what they did. A year later, folks from Atlanta come together and say, hey, we want to do, Band of the Year. We're like, wow, this is our opportunity to reach that #1 that we talked about back
been talking about.
And they're like, well, let's check out the rubric. What is it you need to do well? Oh, we do that anyway. That's our focus. And we just focused on doing a good job of what we already do. And it led to, us being recognized by those folks as the #1 band of the year for Division II. So
yeah,
it's grateful, man.
For Division II, you see here now. I'm looking at you. I'm looking across from you. You've been knowing me since I was 18, 19 years old. Maybe just turned 18.
Mm-hmm.
So to see you here now and see that whole vision, and it's just the beginning. It's hard to see and understand that's just the beginning. Yeah. But you got to start from somewhere. You got to set some milestones. And this brother here that's sitting next to you, I was 18, 19 when I met him. Mm-hmm. And he probably was 17, 16, 17 when we all went up to the school, because we kind of started and then we're going backwards. So we're here now, the Band of the Year, and a lot of people, we're going to briefly cover that road to get where you are at Flomo, because you got a colorful history, colorful past, to where we are now. Because I was trying to put some numbers together and calculate, but I let you do that as far as the time frame.
Yes, well deserved too, because y'all sound really good.
Hey man,
drill everything.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that time frame. So now you at Flomo now, been there about 4 years.
This is our fourth. We're in our 4th year now.
All right. Before Florida Memorial was what school?
I was in Miami Carroll City. I got there with the superintendent. They wanted to rebuild the Carroll City program to our former years when we were there.
Yeah.
And they sought me out and they said, would you be willing to come back?
Because that was calling you back for a second stint.
For a second stint.
That's right.
We're going backwards from now to then.
That's right.
I thought it would be great. My parents was had just passed away.
Oh,
I was down at the house, taking care of them before they passed.
uh-huh.
And I thought it would be a great opportunity, but I'm like, man, I built something great where I was at, and I was like, it'll be great. But so I just threw a figure out there. I'm like, something astronomical that day. I knew they wouldn't match. And they sure came back and said, all right. Well, I was like, whoa. So after they matched it, man, we ended up making that move and coming back. And it was a great 2 years at Carroll City, man.
Yeah, that was the 2-year stint.
Yeah.
That's right. And then before that 2-year stint, it was the Blanche Ely.
15 years.
Yeah. 15 years at Blanche Ely.
Yeah,
I didn't calculate that because see these pictures here now. Some of these pictures you
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was 15 years at Blanche. Now it was incredible. We used to come by there and see some of the shows, and I think we spoke to the kids at the band room then when you was at Blanche Ely. Yeah, that's right. And I know it probably would have been hard for B. Snell to go to Ely because he wouldn't want to step foot over there.
And I found out he was going to like it's a rap now.
Yeah.
Ely?
Yeah. But during those times, Dillard was sold up pretty good with what they staff and what they had going on over there. Yeah. I never. You had some interesting offers between that time before when you left. You was at Carroll City before Ely about 12 years.
Yes, I was.
You had any of the opportunities during that time that was interesting that you
Absolutely.
may have?
We had several college opportunities, but I wasn't in a place to be able to take advantage of them.
I see what you're saying.
I chose when I met you guys.
Yeah.
I decided to raise a family. I had a plan that by the time I turned 30, I was going to have all my kids. I was going to be married. And by the time I turned 50, my kids were going to be out of my house. That was the plan from the time I met y'all.
Yeah.
And I was saying that from the time I met you. But at the end of the day, I didn't go back and get my graduate degrees until, mid 2000. I focused and I was all in. I was all in at Carroll City. My waking hours was band and then home. That was it.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that when I talked to Bringle, one of the things that keep him from being in high school is what he saw his band director go through.
Yes.
He know the life of a high school band director. And we saw what Mr. Neal went through.
Right, absolutely.
It's a tough gig.
But I learned a lot from that, man. It was from him, and Bringle was intern with me for a year. I used to make him pick me up every morning. But we got a chance to talk, and I got a chance to share with him the experience, some of the things to stay away from. Take your butt home after practice so you can spend time with the family.
You got to.
And then go get up, stay away from the distractions so you can go back and be focused on your job and do what you do great. Because a lot of us got caught up with that, being distracted by all the other things. But, it can be done, man, but it ain't easy.
Because it's so many intricate things that people don't see about making sure that band program runs how it's supposed to be. We don't even think about the liabilities.
Forget about it. So many
I'm just talking about to make this thing run and keep everybody on track. That's enough. And so I could understand that. So then you come out of there. Now I had a question about during that time when you made the decision to come to Carroll City after you graduated from FAMU, because you have Now how did that go when you chose to come to Carroll City and work under Mr. Neal, your alma mater? How was that process?
It was an amazing process. But prior to me coming to Carroll City, I had the opportunity to go to University. It was Washington D.C., UDC, and they were at that time they were looking for a director, and at that time I was in my zone. I was writing music. I was doing my thing at FAMU, and they came and checked us out. But when I went and checked out the position, I graduated from. I tell the story to my students all the time. I graduated with a 2.9999
from
FAMU. And you needed a 3.0 in order for you to go to grad school at Georgetown, so I could take the job.
I see what you're saying.
And I went back and got one of my, a couple of my teachers to change that D to a C. One particular teacher, Dr. Johnson, piano player, piano teacher. She said, "Mr. Beckford, I told you that the decisions you make today gonna affect you tomorrow. I will not change that grade. You will deal with that decision you made. And she didn't change that grade, man. And I had to deal with that, and that grade stopped me from getting the 3.0. I'm not mad at her.
But it taught you, yeah.
But it was a great lesson that I was able to share with students. You make decisions now and they affect you for long. It doesn't mean that it's gonna be bad. My life would have just been different. But
that you think it may be different.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, and when you imagine the path,
yeah.
You know, I went down a different path, and it could have, like you said, but I may not have met my wife. Maybe I would have. Had my children. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have met you guys. Not in that same year.
That's right, because that was that same year.
Yeah. Because you talked already ordained.
Yeah. You know, but I got a chance to meet y'all, man, and being on the Frankie Neal, that was a blessing for me. He sparked my musical aptitude. You know what I'm saying? I used to come in the morning every morning at 6:45 and practice. And I used to sit there and watch him, and I'm like, man, I got the same vowels he got. I'm gonna play the same thing. So he sparked my musical ingenuity, man, and serving under him, you know, coming in and really trying to make his job easier and doing whatever he asked me to do. I gained his trust. Then he kind of turned things over to me. He liked things, man. And then I still went to him and like, what is it you need me to do? Nah, I trust you, man. Go do what you do.
Because Mr. Neal, he actually left. And you was at the helm completely. What was that? 2004?
2000.
No, before that.
Yeah, it was 2002. It was the end of the spring of 2002.
When you was the band director.
I was the assistant band director spring of 2002. Then he left that summer. I went and looked for another job because they were cutting my band director position.
Cutting that.
Assistant band director. So I left, went applied for Northwestern, got the job, and then I came back. They called me and Mr. Neal and Mr. Hunt. They said, we got to talk, man. I was like, what? He said, man, I'm turning this thing over to you. I'm like, to who? I'm like, not me. I'm not taking my band director job. That's hanging up. But it went wrong, man. People started saying I stabbed my band director in the back. It was on all kind of stuff. He said, you worked your butt off. You added 20 years to my life. And I'm going to the middle school to feed you so you can continue doing what you did. And it was amazing, man. It was those years after that with Frankie Neal at the middle school and me at, where I was at. That was amazing.
Because you had some amazing bands after that.
Before that too, Frank or Mr. O'Neill was at the middle school before.
That's right.
But after that, man, it was some amazing groups,
man. Yeah. You talking about that 12 years? That was. I mean, we when you got there, we got our first superior.
Yeah, we got our first superior.
With you working with us and everything,
marching band, jazz band, and concert.
All that. Yeah. Something that I never told you, and I probably never told anybody else that story, but when the jazz band started and all us was in there and like you said, that teacher said, a valuable lesson you learned. And I love you to this day because from that day to this day, when Harris outplayed me on that bass trombone and he took my spot. And it was and I was, of course, I was popular, all that behind me and everything, but
you was the man.
I didn't do my job.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that taught me something from that day to this. Yeah. And I say that to the viewers. It don't matter who you know and what popularity you have. You better know your job. You better know your craft. Harrisford came off that tuba and took my spot. You hear what I'm talking about? And I never forgot that. But you had to make a tough decision.
Yeah, it was a tough decision.
And I supported it, and I said, that's just what it is. I wasn't practicing. Harrisford was practicing all the time. Come off that tuba, took my spot. My point is, you got to do your job.
You're still hurting from it.
Yeah.
No, you got to know. I learned a valuable lesson because to this day now, nobody's going to
outdo you.
Nobody's not going to know their job better than me.
Absolutely. They do. They must be a bad boy.
And if they might have wanted you.
Yeah.
But it ain't because I wasn't prepared.
Absolutely. That part.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the lesson I want to make sure. Be prepared and it'll find you where you're supposed to be at.
Tell that story. I didn't tell the exact same story, but it's the same message, Frank.
Same message. And I never forgot. But I credit you for having to make that decision with all that looming and everything. The jazz band about to start. Everybody was out there, and it was my time to play, and I was fluffing over them notes. And Harrisford came in there and played that thing, and that's what it was. But that's what it is. But hey, that's what it is. That's life.
It's life.
But you was making decisions then that you didn't know was helping us become better men.
Yeah.
You know, if I would have got that position over Harris, hard as he worked, that it would have probably sent him a different direction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Because
saying?
you internalize that lesson, though.
That's right.
See, a lot of people go through things and they just think it's an obstacle. They keep moving forward. They don't go back and reflect.
Yeah.
What can I glean from this? What can I learn from that?
Yeah.
And you had to be very insightful as a young person.
Yeah.
To look at that in its totality and say, this is something I can leverage from. I can learn from.
Yeah. From every sphere, I took it, and I know he took it. We call him Mr. B. It's Dr. Beckford. Okay. If you're watching YouTube,
Just so you know,
don't ever walk up on him and call him Mr. B. His name is Dr. Beckford. Okay. Like we was talking to Coach Frazier, and one of the things that we brought from that is the students. You know, you band directors, coaches, their success is from the quality and how the students take to what they're teaching them.
Absolutely.
And Coach Frazier will not take no credit. He won't take it.
We can't get the credit, man, for for the work that we did. Our job is to pour into the students and to build those students up based on the skills that we have. You know, it always bothers me when educators, professors always feel like their pedagogy is what developed the kid. No, your inspiration and sharing that information is what allowed that kid to aspire to want to be great. Without that aspiration, he can't be great, just not because of your pedagogy. It's because of the impact you have on that child. Yeah. And his success is a receipt.
It's a receipt
to the impact that you had on them.
That's a short.
Without that receipt, man, without that receipt, what did you really do? Yeah. So what you smart? So what you have a doctor's degree? But what did you do without the receipt?
Yeah. And what's beautiful, this brother here has been influenced by you, and now he's working right side of you, and you both accomplishing those tremendous goals together. Because when we met him, you have to come out of that. One thing I love about FAMU, bringing us all right from New Orleans, Dillard, we from Carol City. But when you get up there, you gotta lay all that down and come to that one common goal. And you had to lay that down. We came up there to see y'all. And we said, man, finna come up here and show these boys how to play the horn. Come up to Dillard. Now, for those that don't know, Mr. B, we all went to, when we were at Carol City, we all got together, and he took us on like a little field trip. We jumped in the cars. We went up there to Dillard because it was somebody he had his eye on, and that was you. He had his eye on. He said, y'all got to check this guy out. And we went up there, and you was in there Hey, you was up there doing your thing. Yeah. But you already knew of yeah.
We had met shortly before that. No, it might have been that same day.
It was that day we met.
It was that day.
Yeah.
That day?
So let me tell you the perspective. So my high school band director, Leroy Gibbs.
Was a former Mr. Gibbs. Yeah.
Section
percussion section. Which is ironic. Him and my dad were freshman brothers. My dad was fall 67.
What year again? 67?
Fall 67. So I was drawn to Dillard by some random events because I wasn't going to go there. Mm-hmm. But then I met Mr. Gibbs, and he had some colorful words for me when I first met him in relation to something that happened 30 years ago with me and my dad, but ended up at Dillard. So needless to say, I had a very good middle school program. I was raised in a musical family, so I was a pretty decent player. Middle school, done all the awards and So at Dillard, I ascended very quickly to be one of the top musicians in the band. And there was nobody around better than me. So I think I had kind of.
That's what, yeah.
I think I kind of got inflated. Okay, so Gibbs called back. I need you to come down here. I need you to humble this.
This young brother here.
I got one down here. He got a lot of potential, but he need to be humble. So then I guess the whole thing came about, Beck coming and bringing one of his arrangements because we played one of y'all arrangements. Yeah. I remember what it was. And he brought all his officers, all y'all officers and sections, and sat in the sections. But early that day, I came to the band room, and I heard two of them. And I know when
that was earlier that day.
Earlier that day, I remember like lunchtime or later after that. And I know all the players. I was like, I'm hearing some sounds I ain't heard before. And he was standing there with a sousaphone on. I'm a little high school dude, so he looked 12 feet tall with a sousaphone. He was just like, you Brian, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he heard Gibbs had told him, boom, boom, boom. So go get your horn, or whatever. He said, he asked me a couple things. I might have played some rudimentary things. He said, well, I want to just play some stuff for you. And he just started running through the Auburn. I'm talking about Carnival of Venice, Fly to the Bone. I'm just standing there like, so amazing, so humble. Like, and I realized that there's levels to this.
There's levels.
There's a whole lot of levels beyond where I'm at. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about that I can ascend to, but I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed to see, because when you see something achieved, then you know you can do it.
Mm.
You think there's a limit until you see
Yeah.
somebody else can do it, especially some role
You've
model
done
mentor.
all.
And when I heard that, I just went into shit. I had a goal. You know, I had already known we was in high school. I know that was Richard Beckford, two section family. But my ninth grade year was his last year marching.
Yeah.
So that was 88. Was my ninth grade year. That was his last year.
Yeah.
So we all went to homecoming. We had the games back then. We had video games. We used to be holding up the recorders.
Yeah.
Recording the fanfare, recording the band with little cassettes and stuff like that. So everybody knew, you know, who Richard Beckford was, man. But that day was very impactful. And then when you all came in and sat at the front of every one of our sections, and when they ran that music and we heard how y'all was playing, like the clarity and the intensity and the focus, and it made us like, let us play into that sound and let's play and level up in the way he directed it. It was a very, very impactful moment. I believe we all kind of like met like Dillon in Carol City.
Yeah.
You know, we all united again in Tallahassee years later.
Yeah.
You know, on the same section, the same band. You know what I'm saying? So that was a very, very impactful experience for me, and it just, like I said, it taught me to get
so
shit and grow.
Now, without going into all your accolades, because we already know about you, I know. But now, for you to get the call to join this brother who you heard that long time ago, he had already impressed you in many ways. To get that call to join the staff, what was that like to you?
So first of all, I have to shout out the late great Kofi.
Yes.
You know, very good friend of all of us.
Yes.
You know. So I was, you know, so I'm working in entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Ray know how that is, man.
Yeah, tell us
Feast
a little
and
bit about
famine.
but tell us a little bit about what
a little
you
bit,
do, so that they can
little
hear
bit about
it.
it.
Give
okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay, Cliff Notes version of it. All right. I was contacted around 2004, 2005 by a gentleman named Don Roberts, and Don Roberts was a former March 100 member, former trumpet player, former drum major, Kappa Kappa Psi president. He was that dude.
Yeah.
He was your DP.
Yeah.
He pledged. You know, he was the DP of Kappa Kappa Psi. Dr. Beckford's line. So,
okay.
Don was a very successful band in Atlanta. He created the Southwest DeKalb high school band program, which was one of the top programs in the nation, like right up there with Carol City Central.
In the nation.
It was Carol City Central, Southwest DeKalb. 200, 300 piece band, Macy's Parade, you name it. They had done all that stuff. And ironically, in 2001, he had been contacted by Dallas Austin to create the movie Drumline. So Don Roberts was the executive music consultant, band consultant for the Drumline. So everything you saw on Drumline, he organized it in the Atlanta A&T band was actually his band. That was actually a high school band with a couple of college people's students sprinkled in. Clark, Atlanta, Morris Brown, but it was mainly Southwest DeKalb band. So I got a call from Don. During my tenure at FAMU, I started getting very active in like show planning and like creative aspects and things of that nature.
I remember.
And some things were happening with the band that Don was impressed with. He caught one of his former students like, who's over a show? Like, I'm seeing some things I haven't been impressed with, you know, what they've been doing for a while, but now what's going on? So, you know, Brian Snell, yada, 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 yada. So he reached out to me to come to Atlanta and start working like one of his camps. You know, so I came and worked the precision camp and did my thing, and drum majors and dance routine and all that kind of stuff, right? But little did I know he was vetting me out for a larger project that he had in mind. And after I'd done a couple camps and I think we shot a commercial, Marita Bread commercial we shot a Super Bowl commercial. I choreographed that. I did a short stint with Universal Circus. We did a little short stint, our little step team, and he was bringing me into these things, peeped me out. He was like, yeah, this is the guy. Then he told me about his ideas to bring the movie Drumline that he worked on to the stage. I want to create a theatrical version of Drumline, and I want you to be on my creative team to help me do that. So in 2004, 2005, you know, we started working on what we call halftime live at that particular time. And it was, you know, we were chipping circuit. We was a bunch of band guys. We knew nothing about theater, man.
And not to interrupt you, you know the funny thing, because I was in New York during that time. I think Cami International reached out to me and he said, you know what we're gonna do? And I said, yeah. And when they told me who was involved, I said, man, y'all got good.
Wow, big Mark Beluso.
So I knew all those people. Yeah.
Right. So in 2005, we launched like Halftime Live, and it was a very bare bones theatrical production based off the marching band.
Okay.
You know, we were on the stage. You can find it on YouTube right now. If you look at Halftime Live, that first version, I mean, we just on the stage all the lights on, all white, like no nothing, no expect nothing. We didn't know anything about band. We just out there just marching and playing, doing our thing, right? And it was a pretty good show, but we didn't get the momentum. We didn't understand the cost associated, promotions and budgets, and we kind of blew that budget really quick. So it was a very short stint. And then when I graduated, Don called me to come to Atlanta. He said, "I want you to be here with me, just in case some stuff jump off." So I got to Atlanta when I graduated. He offered me a job, so I'm teaching.
At Southwest DeKalb?
No, I was teaching in DeKalb County schools. I was at Stevens High School and a couple of places. But Don was the supervisor of music for the whole DeKalb County school.
Okay.
So he placed me. Like, I got you, look out, right? So like Ray said, in 2007, we got a call from Cami, which is Columbia Artist Management and Company. It was the largest theatrical booking company in the world at the time. And one of the producers, one of the agents wanted and created a drum, like a HBCU style show. And in his research, he came across the old Halftime Live website from a few years ago. He was like, well, why reinvent the wheel? These guys are already doing that. Let's just partner with these guys to make something happen. And so 2007, we got with Cami, and they brought in the director from Disney. And we started, that gave birth to Drum. Yeah. And we produced the show. We worked on it for about a year. 2008, we did our first show. We went on our first United States tour. 2009, and we went over to Japan. And from that time, we just traveled coast to coast around the world. Yeah. And it's the HBCU band, marching band. It's a celebration of the HBCU culture on the stage. Yeah. And, we just took that show all over everywhere, man. And I was an integral part. I was a drum major. I was the musical director. I was a tour manager.
Now, Don Roberts wasn't still working with, he was working right with y'all, too. Yeah, that's right. That was his old baby.
It's his baby. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
It's his baby. To this day. They're on tour right now.
Yeah,
they're
that's right.
On the road right now, so working with that production all those years. But kind of bringing it up to date. So I was working in entertainment. So that thing is, you go to for 4 or 5 months. I'm back Tallahassee again, figuring it out, running out of money. Oh, damn, we drive Uber, whatever it took. I'm talking about. Then I go back on the road again. It was that whole dynamic. And I got a call from Kofi Hemingway. And he said he's got on the phone with Richard Beckford. He said, Richard Beckford is getting ready to start a band program, Flow Memorial University. I was like, what? He said, I brought your name up. And he was like, nah, I don't think I'll be able to get him. He said, man, I think you might want to give him a call. So Kofi called me. He said, hey, man, you might want to reach out to that. So I texted him. And I was like, hey, man, Kofi, how you doing? I heard Kofi told me you might be starting something down there, man. He was like, you interested? He said, can you talk right now? Yes, phone rung.
Yeah.
What you doing? Hey, man, I'm about to do this thing, bro. Blah, blah, blah. Bro, he couldn't even finish talking. I'm in. Sign me up. And I've been fortunate in my life, to work with, my mentors and role models. I remember being
man. We got time.
Being a little child watching the Macy's Thanksgiving, right? At that time, the family band staff was over the McDonald's All-American.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Foster would be in front of that band, walking into that trombone player with that white suit on with that M, golden arches. And my dad, was a little boy, said, son, that's the law. So me growing up, I was always revered and heard the stories of this man, Dr. William P. Foster.
That's the law.
And I had an opportunity finally to go there with you all and be under that man's tutelage.
Oh, that was the best.
And through that time, there were people, I had role models and mentors, and I was fortunate enough. I remember sitting in the movie theater watching the movie Drumline, enjoying it, but almost pissed off that I wasn't a part of that. I said, if that ever happens again, I'm going to be a part of whatever they do next.
Mm-hmm.
I got that call. I worked with Don Robertson. The last person I had never worked with, who was one of my mentors and role models, was Richard Beckford. He was the last person on my bucket list I'd never had a chance to work with professionally, but I always wanted to. So to get that call was like, man, it was on time. I'm there. And that was it.
You know what I like what you said, and it reverberates throughout this room right now, is the best thing to do is to, if you're the smartest person in that room, you need to get out of that room. And I used to always love that saying. Yeah. If you're the smartest person in that room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
Because it's growth.
Right.
You still want growth.
Right.
That's why I always like to be in a room with someone smarter than me.
Yeah.
Continue to be in the room smarter because it continues to grow.
Yeah, just stay in there long enough to know that you're the smartest one. Yeah. You got to be in there for a little bit.
Yeah, man. And that's a real point, man, that you said that, because we were just talking the other day. And I was told him, when I first hired him, first started going around, and I wanted to get quality folks. I was a successful band director, did what I needed to do on a lot of levels. But I really wanted to bring guys who I was impressed with. Guys who were doing
staff,
yeah. I wanted to bring guys who I was like, yeah, man, I'm a fan. Even though most of them were my former students. most of them people I knew. They were younger than me. Darren Holloway was still in high school when I first took over Carroll City, but I was impressed with these guys. And I remember somebody saying, "You're not intimidated by these guys, man, with their ego?" Like, nah, man, I'm looking forward to gleaming from them because, you know, they did their thing and hopefully they can glean from you, we can glean from each other. But I was not afraid at all, you know, and it was a great thing to have all those guys around, man.
Yeah.
You know, but ego is a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have one, you have if you ever accomplish anything in life, you have ego. Yeah. But we, you know, those of us get to the point we understand how to turn it down and get it out the way.
Put it out the way.
And turn it when it's time. Lights come on, ego come up, lights go off, you get back to work and do what you do. But I enjoy being around people who are good at what they do. I like to put people in places with these guys. I want everybody to be in a place where they're doing their thing. They love what they do.
And that's why your team's winning right now.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Because your staff's so colorful. The brothers don't. This brother don't just play. He's not just a phenomenal musician. He's very talented with that choreography and that artistic. His creative mind is what.
And when me and Kofi talked, man, I talked about all the different things I wanted to do. Yeah. Being a band guy for years, I'm like, this is what I see missing in bands. This is what I see missing. I just looked at all the holes that I saw, and I wanted to bring people in that could fill those holes. Yeah. One of those things was quality control, precision, choreography, creativity. Yeah. I wanted that, and he was one of those guys that, you know, Kofi and I talked about, and the fact that he was available, I'm like, hey, let's get him on now. Let's catch. I went to the president. I was like, man, I need a contract with this dude right now.
Yeah, you need, and that's that freedom. He had to be able to trust you so you can go out and get what you need.
Absolutely.
You know, Coach Frazier talked about how important the principles were to his program, to him doing what he had to do, because Coach Frazier, you know, he was that kind of guy. He needed that kind of control. Absolutely. to make sure that, you know, he didn't care who was the star player. If you were late, you were not able to play. So it was important.
So people need to know you got a dream team staff right now.
Yeah. You know, one of the pictures I wanted to bring it back once Vic gets over there, I wanted to bring that picture, and I wanted to share that part about that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Now I want to really give a shout out to the president of the university, man. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the president of the university, Dr. Japhus Hardrick. I was at Carroll City at the time, and I had every intention of staying at Carroll City and retiring from Dade County Public School. When he had a little forum, he just wanted to talk to some area band directors about the possibility of starting a band in Florida more. And I went to the forum and I heard everything. I heard his spiel, and then he said, "Look, it just so happened everybody at the band at the table was either my former student or was influenced by something that I did in the past." So when he had everybody introduce themselves, like, well, this guy got me into music. He was my band director. So he's like, look, like I need to talk to you. I'm like, no, you don't need to talk to me. I ain't interested in coming to Florida more. And then so afterwards he met and he said, I really want to start the band, man. I said, man, y'all ain't serious at Florida more. I grew up in Carroll City. If y'all was serious, y'all would have been had a band. Y'all ain't serious. And over a period of 4 months, he asked me, he said, if I wanted to show how serious it was, what do I need to do to have a band? Can you help me draft that? So over a period of months, he had me draft a contract or a wish list of what a band director, what would it take? And I was like, if you want somebody real, man, you're going to have to get this. He looked at it, he's like, so this is what I need to get a qualified person in here? I'm like, yeah, man. He said, well, so if I gave this to you, would that get you here? I'm like, yeah, man. It's like that story in the Bible, man. You know what I'm saying? And then he gave it back to me. Like, guy built a house and it ended up being his house. And I said, well, if you can keep your word on this and you get me something that's in writing saying you serious about keeping your word. I went home and talked to my wife, and she's like, babe, you know how Florida Memorial is. I'm like, yeah, but I think it's changing.
Now, because he's like that's new regime.
Yeah, he came in the year before I got to Florida Memorial.
Yeah, because I don't know what they had going on before that as far as presidents, but seems like this brother, he came to you straight business.
Well, you know, all of us grew up in South Florida. And we always knew that Florida Memorial was a hidden gem. It had the potential to imagine if that existed when we were in high school and it was rolling like that. We might have ended up being.
We talked about that one time. Yeah, you're right.
So he saw the potential, not just for band, but just for what the university could be. And they've done great things at different times, but he wanted to bring the HBCU experience to Florida Memorial University. And part of that is having a football team and a band. He gave us what we needed, man. We started that thing from scratch.
Because they were known for their teaching.
Have great
for the
education program.
It was either
psychology,
it was Bethune-Cookman or Flomo for teaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they've been around, but they're just known. But
Melton Mustafa had an amazing jazz program
for years. Yeah.
They had an amazing marimba steel band program.
Oh yeah.
Choir had been amazing for years.
Yeah,
you never had a band program.
And with the football team, the band and the football team accompany each other, and that's going. The sky's the limit now. When I saw the performance, I was blown away because I told Mike, I said, if this is a different Richard Beckford, this is not the same Richard Beckford that we had when we were young.
How so? I want to hear this.
And I told him, I said, because you could see and you could hear, because you were able, we were younger then. Your vision was there, but you implemented everything that you saw. You had time to grow, see a lot of mistakes, and I could hear and see in them performances that is bringing back what we love so much about the 100 and what Dr. Foster did. That's all in there. With our little touch of our own creativity, it's there. What we saw as little kids when we saw the 100, and when you hear all the stories about what they did to people when you saw them perform, when you see Flomo, it does something to you.
Emotional response.
Yeah, and that we were good. We did good. But when you see these kids, if you took us and put us there, it would be incredible.
The most remarkable thing right now is because a lot of these band programs right now were dwindling. There were a lot of band programs. They were closing junior high school and middle school programs, and people weren't interested. A lot of people want to be rappers now or whatever the new thing was. But to see you still develop these kids there and show them that, look, there's still a love for this. It's still amazing, and let's get it. Yeah. And the discipline, because when we work with you, with the band camp, I see the discipline in the kids that want to come to the school, and we should talk about the band camp a little bit too.
And it's going to grow. Funding has shut doors on a lot of what we had.
Yeah.
I hear Kermit saying they got to raise the money for the buses for the kids to go to the game. So a lot is changed. Even you didn't even have to deal with that when you was at Carol City.
No,
but Kermit has to deal with that over at Central. And they took that money that we had. A lot of stuff is not allocated for the football programs. Because I'm hearing that, the Dolphins donate a lot of equipment to high school programs that can't afford to buy pads. So money and fundraising and all this type of stuff has changed the game a lot. So you really battling a different enemy. It ain't, you might have the kids that got all that desire and want to do it and got the talent, but the finances
and still be able to pull it off like that is amazing.
And to do because I watched that. When you first got there, I was saying, boy, we got the road up ahead of him, woo, because of the support. But it's growing. You see, now you're gonna have so much more support and people behind you, and that helps.
When I reflect on all of our experiences, including mine, Brian's, everything that Brian just said, the factor that crosses all of our different planes was inspiration. When I went to the 100, I was inspired by Peter Henfield. I was inspired by Lindsey Sargent. I was inspired by the things that I saw. I screamed like a girl when I heard them play that in 1983 in the Orange Bowl. And so I was inspired, and that sent some, some stuff off into my body that, some hormones that made me say, man, I remember when I met you guys, first thing I want to do, when I first heard Dr. Foster speak, and I'm holding his program here for when he died. It passed. But when I heard him speak, first thing I said is, second day of pre-drill, I do not want to let this man down. I want to be everything he was talking about, being a man in America, black man in America, how we're a rare commodity, and we must excel and rise and be our best version of ourselves. I said, man, I do not want to let this man down. Right. And I remember when I came to Carol City, I wanted to have the same kind of impact. I want to speak in a way, and I want to present my way the way Dr. Foster presented himself to me. I want to inspire them to want to be great by something they say and the way I walk every day.
So do you drive your car out to the band field too, like Dr. Foster used to do?
Sometimes I park it on the side, but most of the time I walk.
Okay.
But I think today we have to understand that young people need to be inspired, especially post-COVID. We've always needed to be inspired, but we inspired in so many different ways in the past. Intimidation, standard expectation. But now we have to find intrinsic ways to develop, these kids to inspiration so they can understand that there's something inside of all. They're amazing. These kids are amazing. But we have to find a way to trigger and light that fire that allow them to say, I don't want to let you down. I want to be great. Not because of anything else other than inside of me, there's a fire that says, I want to be my best version.
And you're building that confidence in them. See, my father used to say back in the day, it's not cocky, it's confidence. And building that confidence is a big thing.
Yeah, and overconfidence is the one that causes the problem. Yeah. Overconfidence is
that's when
helping.
Ego gets involved.
Yeah.
And then you have to be checked in a different way.
I like what I hear. Like I'm looking at Robert, man. I'm so proud. He don't even understand how much my chest is sticking out when I can. And I'm just looking at all the guys and all the stuff y'all doing. It inspires me to want to do better. You know what I'm saying? Because and the quality that I see in all of you guys is your confidence, but you're also still humble. You still recognize that the work got to get done.
Yes,
you're not resting on your laurels. You're not thinking about what you did yesterday. You think about what do I do with what I learned yesterday to make something even better tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I see in all of us. And I think that's the culture that we want to create.
So that Coach Frazier, he's from the football realm, and he
inspired me too, man. I'll tell you why later.
I was helping him understand that we band guys, and we are able to see your influence, and we wasn't even under your direct.
I got to tell you that story, man. That's the reason is I went to Coach Frazier's football practice one day, and I was trying to figure out ways to motivate y'all. And he had this guy on the bench, and he's like, "No, I got to get 225 in 60 seconds, man." And I'm like, "I got to lift for 25 times in 60 seconds." So I'm like, "Coach, what is that? If you want to be a mighty chief, man, you got to lift this thing 25 times." So he had these standards on the wall.
Yep.
And in order for you could be a baby chief.
All the way up to a super chief.
Super chief.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It was all about the weight and speed.
Yeah.
And I took that thing, I studied it, and I asked them all kind of questions. I went back to the band and I created the band standard. And from baby chief, papoose, we call him papoose, all the way to mediocre chief. Yeah, you only could play 3 scales, bro. You're mediocre chief. Until they got to mighty chief, super chief, virtuoso chief. You had to be in a wind ensemble and a jazz ensemble. And I still use that right now to today.
Yeah, everything he did was teaching competition
and aptitude.
Yeah.
You have to achieve that first. You can't tell me you're wrong until you get that done.
Yeah.
Go work on that.
Yeah.
And he built on the strengths of the students as they grew and got strong. And that's what we're doing, man. That's we're building Florida Morris, man, honestly, based on what I learned from Coach Frazier.
Yeah. Nice. Oh man,
I love to hear that. Kind of stuff. I love to hear that kind of stuff too.
It's got to be in the book.
Yeah,
We got a couple T-shirts we're gonna do too. Probably we got a couple quotes you did today too. But the funny thing is that we all come from different backgrounds, but we all still come together.
Yeah,
like Mr. Talbot at Norland was Susan.
Great inspiration. One of my biggest mentors, man.
Yeah,
he used to say, "Man, Beckford, you ain't ready. Going back over there to where the ghetto at, man." And then when I did go to his band, he was like, "Don't say nothing, just watch." He wouldn't let me say nothing, man.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, after we got some superiors, and he's like, "Man, we sat in this car for hours and listened to each other's bands, man, and critiqued each other's bands." He was an amazing mentor to me.
That's Talbot.
Yeah, Mr. Talbot, great teacher, man. Great teacher. So it's circle. Yeah. That circle of love that's there. We're all still learning from each other.
Was Mr. Talbot Mr. Neal's freshman brother? How close were they when they were at FAMU?
They're not. I think Mr. Neal was a little older.
Oh, a little older than Mr. Talbot.
I might be wrong, but I remember because he came up as a piccolo, and he used to talk about that young guy that came up on tuba and marching band, piccolo, in the concert band. Kids from Stanton. He used to talk about them guys from Stanton. And man, but that era, they sparked me. They sparked that young generation. They were serious about that music.
Serious. Yeah. They had those years when Dr. Foster was at that prime, when it was. They etched in stone that tradition throughout those early '60s, late '50s.
Yeah.
All that was etched, and that was during their time when Dr. Foster was really building that brand from tooth and nail.
He had some pretty amazing students out there at that time too. Chief Wilson.
Yeah.
That was in Orlando.
Who was that?
That was actually Prof. B's band director.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who?
Colonel, his name was Chief Wilson.
Okay.
So he was a legendary band director in the Orlando area.
Yeah.
That was
Jones High School.
Jones High School. That was Prof. B's band director, who was a former March one of Dr. Foster's students. You also had
Willie Piper, legendary Willie Piper, another one of my mentors.
Legendary director, and at Stanton, where Talbot went was Colonel McFarland. Colonel McFarland, and he was that people don't know about that Stanton program at that time. That's where Dr. White went.
That's what I wanted Carol City.
All the Sargent brothers went. That's where Dr. James went. That's where my band director, Mr. Gibbs, went. All of them were products of Stanton High School, and that was Colonel McFarland. So there were some very amazing band directors that some of Dr. Foster's early students that went out and created some amazing programs and taught some amazing musicians. So it's been going on for a while, just one generation to the next generation, and we've been basically passing the torch.
Where so many people would come from under that tree.
Right.
I mean, if you looked at Dr. Foster's tree
genealogy,
it's nasty.
It would be crazy.
Look at it. People don't even know that. Even Bethune-Cookman. So Donovan Wells and their arranger, Mr. Potier, has been there.
His cousin.
Yeah, your cousin for many years. Well, when they were in the band in the early 80s and the late 70s, their band director was Samuel Berry. So Samuel Berry created the Marching Men of Cook.
Okay.
So the band that they were in was under a family director.
Exactly.
One of Dr. Foster. So when Donovan Wells took over the program, he brought back in the elements that he learned when he was the band, which was under the Marching Men. So the Bethune-Cookman band, you see, they was very much like the Marching Men, which was a family-led program. So it's the connections.
It's hard to get away from
it. And half those students, they are from his students. Students from family. It's just a whole ecosystem that sparked from 1946
yes.
on.
Yeah, I've met guys, and we've gone to cigar bars and sat down with guys who were in the band when Talbot was band director at Central. Right. Before he came to New Orleans. I mean, so it was like, wow, you were there that year with him, and like, wow, so it was a lot of love, man.
And I saw some pictures. So you said a lot about some of the different people that I wasn't going to name, but I'm gonna say a few different ones. This is a little segment here where I ask you a couple of names, or I say a name, and you just say what comes to mind. Not comes to mind, but what you want to say about them. Lindsey Sargent is one of them.
Lindsey Sargent was an inspiration to me when I was in high school, man. I never saw any of his music, but I memorized all the notes. Like before I even got to family, I knew all those arrangements from memory. He inspired me, man. I wanted to impress him so bad when I got to family, so I wrote some composition. I wrote a march called "The Thrill of Victory." I just wanted to present it to him, man. Presented, man, marked that thing up with a pen like it was chicken scratch, man.
What year was this?
This is 1984.
This is 1984.
And but what happened was, man, he saw something in me and he allowed me to be the copyist. So when I got to FAMU, they didn't have all them softwares. He wrote the score. He labeled the score. It was my job to go write out all the parts for the band. He gave it to me that night. I had to have the parts ready for the next rehearsal. And I did that for like 3 years, man, until some other guys came in. But that was an amazing lesson for me, man. I got a chance to look at his score, see how he wanted the parts written, understand his phrasings and his voicings, and that informed my arranging today, man. Like still,
I like how you use the word inform, because you're different than Sarge. Yeah. I could hear it. You see what I'm saying? That's why I like how you said informed, because your color is on your music. Mm. And Sarge you can still see his. Yeah. So that's good. So now when you did that and you learned all that, when did you know that, look, this is what I want to do. I want to write music too.
Well, I first went to family. I was an architect major, man. I wanted to impress my parents.
Yeah.
One day I was clowning around with my roommate Troy Anderson, who's a fellow tuba player, fellow well in the 100 with me, and was sitting there dancing around in the back, while they were learning the drill. Dr. Foster walked up behind me, and he said, "Gentlemen, clowning around and watching one another rehearsal, Richard Beckford." And I was like, he knew my name. I was so impressed by that. And he said, "You remind me a lot of myself when I was young." I was like, I didn't do all that. You got to be cool.
Yeah, you start crying.
Yeah,
like,
inside, on the inside. But he said, "Are you a music major?" I said, "No, doc." He said, "You should be a music major, man. I could see you, what did he say? I could see you being an effective educator." And the day he said it, I think I went down that week, man, and changed my major. And that was like a source of inspiration. I remember sharing that with Lindsay Sargent, and he's like, "Yeah, man." And I kind of, between Dr. White and Sarge and Dr. Foster, I kind of just watched. I think I was paying attention to band rehearsal in ways that my peers weren't.
Well, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was listening to everything, man. I was in the library looking at the words they said. It meant something to me that they saw that in me, man.
The law said that to you.
Yeah.
Prof Bean.
Prof being informed. I was a bad tuba player in high school, man. I was scuffing. I was doing things in high school. I came to FAMU and I was showing out everything. I was really showing off when I was there. When I first applied, Prof Bing pulled out a book, said, "We're gonna start you on these whole notes, Beck." I said, this man, just try me, man, I'm playing Carnival of Venice backwards. And you talking about? And he's like, "No, we gonna play. See, you don't understand how to control them." Like, what you mean? I can't control notes. And he had me play whole notes, man, like for a half a semester. My first recital was a grade 1. Grade 1. I didn't play grade 7s. He had me play a grade 1 solo, man. And it was just half notes and whole notes. But it was a great lesson, man, because it taught me breath control. It taught me how to, how to make sure that the tone started from the beginning to the end. That's what he was trying to teach me.
That's what he was trying to
teach. He said, "You play all that fast stuff. You're quick on the fingers, Beckford. But you need to know how to play these whole notes. That's where it's at." And that was a great lesson, man. So I credit him for that. So I credit him for giving me the sound. My understanding of it.
He ever curse you out?
Yeah.
He was notorious.
He did.
Out there.
I mean, but he never cursed me out. He cursed around me, but we had a great relationship, man. I was never, it was
always with love.
No, he never cursed me out. Like, he had, I don't know what it was with us, man, but we had a really good relationship, man. I had a great deal of respect for him.
Dr. Shayla James.
I took that percussion ensemble was my favorite class because he treated us like we were in the Z. Like he gave us that rudiment and said we had to know it.
He don't play.
But he was so steady. Like he didn't see under that emotional roller coaster stuff, man. And that was pretty much evident for the whole staff. But his tone, it was just his consistent demand for your best presentation, and I remember when I got the distinct honor of being able to interview for the director of band position at FAMU in 2012. And I did my presentation, and, Dr. James said, "Richard, look here." Put me to the side. He said, "Man, that was a hell of a performance, boy. I mean, you did a great presentation, just like when you was in my class." I said, "Doc, I was inspired because you did me like that when I was in class, man." So just a consistent gentleman, man.
Yeah. Consistent. He's a great teacher.
Yeah, man.
I mean, just like, he can talk to you.
Hands
like
on too.
Yeah, he's hands on.
Yeah, man.
Like a father. When he's talking to you, you don't want to let him down.
No, you don't want to let him down.
Most of them, they had that about them. You don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
He's going to have a retirement ceremony this year.
Nice. I got to be there.
So his daughter, I stay on text with her, and so she's going to let me know as soon as they set a date for it. And so because I know I want to be there too, because his influence again. Dr. White, Dr. Julian White.
Dr. White, we had a up and down relationship, man. Never bad, but I think we had different perceptions of each other over the years. When I was in college, man, I was one of those guys that pride myself on never missing rehearsal. Never missed rehearsal, never missed a note. That was my two things. And I remember one time I caught the mumps and my neck swelled up, and it was winter ensemble. We were getting ready for the ABA concert, and I couldn't make it to rehearsal, and I was mad because I couldn't make a rehearsal. Man, I finally he came to my dorm, man. He said, "Richard, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed, Richard." I said, "Disappointed in me?" He said, "Yes. You missed 2 rehearsals as we're getting ready for ABA." He said, it's reprehensible, Richard. Like, look at my neck. He said, "No excuse. You should have been at those rehearsals." I said, "Doc, you got 3 other great tuba players." He said, "Reprehensible." Just walked away.
Reprehensible.
And that messed me up, man. I just didn't understand, man. But I thought about it. My freshman year, something that happened. And I was supposed to, something happened, man. Some guys did some stuff to me, man. And I was pissed. I was real upset. One of them was my Carroll City homeboy. He did some pissed off stuff, man. And Doctor caught me when I was pissed. And I told him everything. I said, "Man, they did this, they did that." He said, "Richard, I need you to say this again." Uh-huh. And I saw the guy's mom. I don't want to call his name, but I saw his mom. And I remember when I was in high school, how hard his mom worked to get him into FAMU. She was driving up to FAMU every week. "My boy gonna get in FAMU." And I just, when we got to the hearing and I was supposed to share what happened, I was like, "Richard, go ahead and tell him your story. Go ahead, Richard. Be brave now. Be brave."
This Dr. White
This Dr. White across the table. "I don't know what you're talking about, Doc."
Oh boy,
forgive me for laughing because it wasn't funny.
I could imagine.
It wasn't funny because it was in my butterfly in my stomach. Cause I like, tell him what you told me, Richard. "I don't know what you're talking about."
Because he couldn't repeat it.
That was hard because I had a lot of respect for him, man. Yeah. And it hurt. But bringing everything to the present, man, when we got to see that picture right there.
That's right. That's why it's up there.
And when we hugged each other, we both cried, man. He said, "I'm so proud of you, man. You did the damn thing, man." Yeah. I said, "Doc, man, thank you." I said, and we just hugged it, and we already knew it was all the stuff I just said. Yeah. It was all that history from 1984, all the way, so many things, man.
And it just came all out.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Because he probably always wanted to say, I said that, but I was watching.
Yeah, man. He's always been. When I first got to Carroll City, I used to have him come down and work the band for concert band. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Him and Sarge Lee, they had a little program going on, but yeah, man, he's always been solid and stable and always a supporter, always honest with me about my bands.
Yeah. You need that.
Boy. Yeah, man. He told me the real deal.
I mean, it goes without saying. I don't have to say Dr. Foster but I want to say Shelby Chipman.
Shelby Chipman, man, he was an inspiration, man. Like, he was 2 years ahead of me at FAMU.
Yeah.
But when I became section leader, he became section leader the same year.
Oh yeah.
We competed, man, and I got section leader of the year like all 4 years. Yeah. And then the last year, I think Shelby just, he was like, "Man, there's something ain't right. Prof Bing must be involved with this in some kind of way."
All right. So what year was that you became section leader?
85, 86, 86, 87, 87.
Okay.
So we were section leaders together all the way through. And then the last year we tied, and I thought it was like, how are we gonna tie? You know what I mean? And then fast forward, we graduated around the same time. Shelby changed his major and became a music major. We worked together. We helped each other out. We graduated. I ended up going down to Carroll City. At that time, they weren't allowing people to leave Tallahassee to go intern. We had to intern in the city of Tallahassee.
Oh.
And we fought, like, nah. I was like, nah, I can't afford living here another year. I need to be home. Uh-huh. So I was one of the first people that actually got an internship back in my hometown. And then Shelby, I think he had another summer to finish, but he ended up interning also down in Miami. Okay. I got the job at Carroll City. He interned in America while I was at Carroll City. I ended up getting a job a couple of years later. He was assistant American. Then he ended up becoming the band director at Central and the Central Carroll City.
Right.
So yeah,
Here we go.
Now
it was great, man.
Y'all still talk.
Man, man. We used to sit on each other's porch and talk about things that we were going to do, marches we were going to play. We went to each other's spring concert, man, conducted each other's band.
Because we always used to say, man, Mr. B going to Fab. We always, and then Chip got the job. But I mean, we were still, but I still, I thought that's where you,
I wasn't, At the time, I was focused on raising my family. And I just didn't think about going to grad school at the time. It was about raising them kids.
Yeah, you had a house full of girls.
Yeah, man. Hard. And Shelby did his thing, man. He earned what he earned. Nobody can take that away from him.
Yeah,
he's a hardworking dude that knows his stuff. He's a student of the game, and I respect him highly, man. And it goes way back from when we were, at FAMU together, battling each other across the field, man. And we even had some arguments, man. Like, we did blow you all out. No, you did, this healthy stuff over years, man. And
good competition, man.
Yeah, good competition. We're talking band.
Now, Shapar is your first.
He's my freshman brother.
Your freshman brother. Yeah. So your 40th. It's the 40th this year.
It's this year.
Yeah. Y'all gonna be able to make it up?
Some kind of way. Hopefully,
we already put it on the calendar. Yeah. November 2nd. November 2nd, family homecoming.
Hopefully, we don't have a game that weekend.
Yeah, hopefully. That'll be good because we setting it up. As soon as they open up for the RV parking, I'm in there.
Let me say something about Shelby Children again, man. I need everybody to understand that, he endured through a lot of ups and downs. He carried that band from that challenge that happened in, early in the 2000 teens, and he navigated a whole bunch of pathways to the point where they are right now. And I told him when I saw him, I'm so proud of what he was able to navigate through. They had a great year this year. Band sounded great. They did some, very innovative things. And I want people to remember, man, I'm proud of the 100.
Yeah.
But I don't know what people expecting me to do when I got a program.
You got to put all what you learned into
it. and I'm always strive to be the best version of myself. That's right. But that doesn't take anything away from the lessons I learned in greatness of Florida A&M University. Yeah. I want to make sure people clearly hear me say that and understand that this is a great platform to be able to say. And we both feel the same way, man. Yeah. A lot of it has been deposited into us, and we're still fans.
Yeah.
But you got to root for yourself too and do your thing.
That's right, and that's the thing.
We'll be at your homecoming.
We talking band. The last few episodes, of course, we were talking football, and now we're talking band, and that's what we are. That's near and dear to our hearts. And we're talking band with two of the best talk band with, and that is Dr. Richard Beckford and Brian Snell, assistant band director. It's Chief Hall Podcast, and we just having a good time, and we're talking band. And we out.
How many more times you gonna say band?
Cue the music. How long was that? You saw that segment that we went into when he went at the beat. Yeah, we got to cut that up. Yeah, we got to cut that up.